Welcome in, everybody, to Extreme Radio, sponsored by GracePointe Healthcare. Go to GracePointeHealthcare.com. Request your appointment online. Go see their new website. Mention your birthday man Extreme. You get $10. Make that doubled. $20 off your new patient office as a fee.
Shortchanging them.
GracePointe Healthcare, modern medicine the old-fashioned way. And Dr. Sterling Foster sponsors the show. Go to drsterlingfoster.com for all your digestive issues and chiropractic needs.
I love y'all. I know y'all love my antidotes. Had a
He loves
birthday
you,
party
too.
for my kids yesterday. I didn't realize that they were going to be bringing in Papa John's pizza. Papa John's is decent. You know what they should have brought in was Jet's Pizza.
Oh, yeah.
Right there.
You should have requested it.
Whether you're in Springfield, Fort Campbell, Clarksville, I said it last week, they're putting one in Goodlettsville right here north of town. No matter where you are, though, it's always a great time to say, let's get
I know where his
Jet's.
segue is going to go into this next.
Okay, tell me.
You're going to say something about, I'm jumping around my kids, I'm having fun. I don't have time to work. What if I hurt my back? I need insurance.
Fine. I mean, it's true. I do need insurance.
Uh-huh.
So that's why I gave my guy Joe Graves at IHateBuyingInsurance.com. Gave him a chance. Just checked it out. You know, just like you got to give some of these teams a chance, give him a chance. Just check the website out. It's easy to remember, too. IHateBuyingInsurance.com. Bam. You know what other website's easy to remember? 8manextreme.com. Bam. Get your updated score, standings. Go get that 8 equals 11 shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Go get your roster.
The sale's
Hey,
still
listen,
going on.
Listen, if you got your PA announcer or you're a PA announcer listening, there's a new place to get updated rosters so that 5 minutes before the game, you're not running around going, oh, who's number such and such? Who's number such and such? Bam. Rosters are on the website.
And they're living documents, too. So anytime we have a change to the roster, it's updated.
Roster
instantly.
changes. Bam.
Exactly.
That's all you got to do.
6 weeks concluded for the MTAC season. Only 5 weeks remain until we get into the playoffs, and only one team has clinched their playoff destiny, and we'll get into that in just a moment.
Destiny, but not playoff spot.
Yes, they have. They clinched the playoff spot.
Well, I know,
We've
but
been
two other
over this.
teams have clinched a playoff spot.
Not officially.
Well,
only
come
one
on.
team has.
Yes, it's
only one
come
team
on.
has. I'm going per the letter of the law. The chance is
All right.
slim,
All
but
right.
only one team has officially clinched.
All right, you're like a walking GIF. You're telling me there's a chance.
Yeah, I'm telling your teams
right.
right now there's a chance. You're the one who told me not to say anything about one team who almost got eliminated from the postseason, but now you're telling me to not be positive. I just need you to be more positive, James. You just need to be way more positive.
Here's what I'm positive about. There's teams not making the playoffs.
Yeah, well, that's just factual. There's 3 teams
That's
not
true.
making the playoffs in the South, 2 in the North not making it. Follow along on your helmet schedules, everybody.
Let's address that elephant in the room.
Oh, yeah, sure. Titans game, they don't know how to finish. Simple as that. Titans just don't know how to finish. As simple as that. Not only that, but Santos, we need another kicker. We need another.
Oh,
another
please.
We need another kicker. Or Suckup needs to have, like, I don't know if you guys remember Karate Kid, but the Jaden Smith one. But when he broke his leg in the contest and he was about to go in.
Oh, you mean the bad one?
Yeah, there's that fiery cup treatment that instantly repairs the healed leg. We need that on Ryan Suckup right now. We need that right now. What shocked me even more
Santos
was that Adam Vinatieri
done
missed
terrible.
2 PATs. It was a bad day for kickers. It really was. He missed 2 PATs.
No kidding.
It was a bad day
My
for
kicker
kickers.
didn't do that great. No, my kicker did good.
No one cares about your
Justin
fantasy
Tucker.
team except for your fantasy league, James.
I was predicted to lose by 40 points.
Uh-huh.
I'm only
You
predicted
were
to lose
last
by
week.
8 right now.
Uh-huh.
And my opponent only has
by 8.
Alvin Kamara left. I'm up by 30. He's got Alvin Kamara playing right now. And then he's got Njoku and Crowder tomorrow night.
You know what we should do right now? While I'm going over a little bit of the scores, you should get Red Zone on. Turn Red Zone on. Nah, you don't feel like getting up. It's fine. Follow along on your helmet schedules top to bottom. Enough about NFL. It's time for 8-Man football. We start with the only independent team we cover for this season, the Tennessee School for the Deaf Vikings. They got the victory at home on Thursday, 56-20 over the South Carolina School for the Deaf and Blind. So the TSD Vikings, after taking a tough loss on the road here in Springfield, it's very great for them to get a W, especially in a 36-point fashion.
Big win for them. I'm waiting to get the stat updates. They're supposed to be up today, but big win for them. Flip the score that they had on South Haven. But get back in the win column. They had some wins last year. Good to build a little momentum. They've got to drive all the way down to Mobile, Alabama for a Thursday night game this Thursday or Saturday. I think it's Thursday night game this week. So big win for them. Good to see them get back in the win column. And hopefully, I know with their conference, the Mason-Dixon Conference, it's like the old, not even the BCS, it's like the old system where they vote on whoever has the best division record, conference record wins the championship. So hopefully they can get it rolling. And, Georgia School for the Deaf closed their program. North Carolina closed. So hopefully there's a little less competition and they can get back in the driver's seat. They won the title a few years ago, so hopefully they can get back to that. But big shout out to them on the win Thursday night.
Big win for the Vikings, and next week they've got a tough game on the road to face off against the Alabama School for the Deaf. Technically this week, only about 4 days from now. 4 days from now, it's going to be interesting to see how they compete. Going into Friday, there were only a handful of games, only 3, but of course we'll get into, unfortunately, the first situation, which you have the story on that, James.
This was supposed to be the week 2 that everybody played.
Yep.
And then Sacred Heart dropped, so Lighthouse didn't have an opponent. And then the game you're about to talk about dropped, so then we had a whole bunch of teams not playing.
2 teams dropped, and one of the other teams unfortunately dropping, and James Shand has a story on it. The Ezel Harding Eagles got a forfeit win against the St. Andrews Sewanee Mountain Lions. Unfortunately for the Mountain Lions, that's their second game on the season that they've had to have a forfeit, unfortunately. But, James, you've got the full story.
They took a shellacking against Lancaster, and just a lot of injuries. Caleb McLean was banged up, one of their better players. And so, coming against a division-leading opponent where – they knew it was going to be tough. Even up on the mountain at their 4 o'clock start time, it was still going to be a tough game. And so, Coach Hargis, I think he did the right thing, honestly. I'm not a big fan of, backing out of games. But, in terms of protecting his players, protecting the program, because it's almost more detrimental to play a game where guys are already hurt and then more guys get hurt or, you just get spanked by 60, 70 points. I would you rather say, you know what, we know our limits. He's trying to keep that football program going. So let's roll with it and let's cut our losses. They've still got some very beatable teams this year on the schedule. They still got FCS coming up. They've still got who's the other game they've got? I'm
talking about the Mountain Lions.
They've got the Heat coming up.
Yeah, Mountain Lions. They've got a bye week going up. They've got Lighthouse, Classical, Heat.
Yeah, very winnable games. This 3-game stretch right here. So I don't have a problem with the decision at all. For Ezel, it is frustrating. You come off a trip to Alabama, a big loss, looking to kind of get back in the win column. Not going to happen this week, but I don't have a problem with that decision at all. So I hate it for him, absolutely hate it for him, but good call by Coach Hargis.
Yeah, of course, the Mountain Lions do have another bye week to rest up and hopefully have their guys ready to play against the Lighthouse Christian School Lions at home. And as for the Eagles next week, they've got a big battle of the bell against the Lions of Lighthouse. Continuing from top to bottom on the helmet schedule, the Warriors of Bowling Green had an interdivisional matchup hosting the Lancaster Knights, and Lancaster, in the typical fashion that they have, they did not score below 50 points in this game. 76-14, a combined 90-point score. Not the highest scoring game that we've ever broadcast. That goes to the Eagles and the Lightning that we did last week, but it's a high score. Definitely shows guys like Horde, the great strength those players have. Just a fantastic matchup for him.
Well, Deuce Bragg continues to excel. I'm going to say this right now. I've been a massive proponent of coaches putting their stats on Max Preps. I'm not usually a big Max Preps guy, but I do think that coaches need to do it. And for this reason, if coaches can put their stats on that website, coaches from across the nation put them on there. So then you can compare your guys nationally. You look at it right now. David Black from Riverside currently holds the number 1 spot in passing yards nationally. Now, Deuce Bragg's about to take that spot. Deuce Bragg, 6 touchdown passes Friday night. Jordan Horde, 5 touchdowns. He had 3 rushing, 2 receiving. Devin Hargrove, 3 touchdown catches. But I think you have to put your scores on Max Prep, your stats on Max Preps. because it helps you gauge. David Black, he's beating out guys from Washington State, from Colorado, from Oklahoma, Alabama, all over the country. And you want to make the argument that, hey, we play in the best conference in the U.S. We play in the toughest area in the U.S. But then people are not going to be able to kind of gauge how that's the case. If they can't see, well, how are your guys doing? They're just going to see your scores, and they're not going to know the context of what's happened in those scores. You can have a ball game that, you could look at last night's ball game. You could say, okay, it was 41-22, so Classical pulled ahead 41-8, and then the Heat scored some touchdowns in the latter part of the game against backups, which that's not what happened. So you have to have that context. So, again, I'm a big proponent of doing that. I wanted to get that out there. But David Crow, touchdown pass, checking to make sure Gage Holman, I believe, had a touchdown last night. So, a tough loss for Bowling Green, of course, coming into a couple big games in the next few weeks with South Haven and the Heat. But for Lancaster, they just keep rolling. I mean, they're a strong team, a lot of different weapons. Elijah Moore, I'm spacing on Isaiah Moore, of course, the Horde brothers, Devin Hargrove. So they got a lot of different weapons that they can use. And, of course, their freshman quarterback, Deuce Bragg, he's got it rolling right now. He's got it clicking.
Yeah, Deuce Bragg, the Moore brothers, and Jordan Horde, just some of the many weapons for Lancaster, and they continue to push on as they have an in-division matchup that could lock their playoff berth as they host the Franklin Christian Academy Falcons next week. And as for the Warriors, they have a tough individual matchup to help determine their playoff fate against the Patriots of South Haven in Springfield. Of course, continuing down, we had another matchup in the North from this previous weekend that could very much be the teetering point of who gets actually, it was the teetering point, and only one team has clinched a playoff berth officially on paper. More than likely, other teams have clinched it with their wins this past weekend, but officially on paper, the Christian Community Colts got it done at home and clinched the number 1 seed in the North by getting the victory over the South Haven Christian School Patriots, 42-25. And you look at the box score, it was that the Patriots kept it close. They were competitive against the Colts, but when it came to the second, third, fourth quarter, Christian Community just does very much what their ability is, and that's finishing the game.
Yeah, Manny Dang, 2 touchdown runs, one 30 yards, one 80 yards. Not 80 yards, sorry. I think it was 60 yards. But Manny Dang just completely showing up. First quarter, close, 13-12, and then CCS just doing what they do. Micah Jones had a great game. I want to say he had, I think he had 4 touchdown passes. So 4 touchdown passes, had a couple to Johnny Stapleton, couple to Brooks Pugh, 3 to Brooks Pugh, 1 to Stapleton, and then Avery Harper on the defensive side of the ball really showed up. I believe he had 10 tackles. So strong performance by the Colts for 13 tackles, rather, for Avery Harper. For South Haven, just struggled with, they're in the second quarter, very kind of a tipping point in the game, and they just, coughed up a couple fumbles, couldn't hold on. Andrew Crawley there in the end of the game, able to run a couple touchdowns in on his own. But big win for the Colts. And, again, after that loss to Lancaster, that kind of lit a fire under them. And they started rolling, and they've done nothing but beat divisional opponents and then beat teams from the South, where the South is a strong conference. But they've continued to etch out their destiny, and a great win for them Friday night.
Yeah, congratulations to the Colts on being the first team to lock in their playoff spot. They will have a first-round bye in the new 6-team playoff format, but of course the Colts still have a season to finish, and they've got a tough game on the road next week as they play against the Classical School Knights. And as for the Patriots, as we said, they've got a tough divisional game hosting the Bowling Green Warriors. The only other 2 games going on were the ones that we were able to broadcast. Friday night, we covered the Riverside Christian Academy Knights trying to essentially lock a playoff berth in their game against
I think they did.
Franklin Christian. It's not officially on paper, in your opinion, of course, not officially on paper because of FCA only playing 1 game in the South, but 34-0. Of course, we do have an update on Adam Hubble and the latest news that we've heard from him, but a big game for Riverside, of course, and we also heard first news about a new conference rule that was changed last year that we were not aware of till this point about if you're ejected from a football game, I believe you're only ejected for that game and not for the next
Well,
one.
if you're ejected for, and this is my interpretation of what I heard. If you're ejected, again, it could be in the bylaws, which we don't have a written copy of. But if you're ejected for a helmet to helmet, I believe, or ejected for a situation like that, you're only out for that game. If you're ejected for 2 unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, you're ejected for that game and you're suspended for the next game. So that is my understanding of what the rules are. If that's the case, then
Jonathan Knotts is still in.
Yeah, he'll be back. But really great to hear the news about Hubble being okay. Had to take him there to Lincoln Medical Center. But David Black, great game. 17 of 21, 283 yards, 4 touchdowns. The running game was a good supporting cast. Sammy Morris, 7 catches, 152 yards. He had some incredible catches. Michael Black had some great catches. How about Black pulling up 3 interceptions? He leads the nation in interceptions, by the way, with 5 so far on the year. So a great complete game for Riverside Christian. Crutcher Ezel also led the team, 10 tackles, tackle for loss, a sack, and he also had a fumble recovery. So just an overall great game for the Knights. For the Falcons, of course, struggling a little bit. They looked like they were going to get it done at the very beginning, and then Michael Black throws, Daniel Holcomb throws the interception right off the hands of I believe it was Sheets or Hazley, and Michael Black able to pick it off, bring it back for a touchdown. So just overall, a very complete game for Riverside, and that's what they had to have to beat FCA. It was all about who was going to have the more complete game, and Riverside was the one where they were the ones that pulled it off. So big shout out to them.
Yeah, and Franklin Christian could have gotten an upper edge in trying to get into the playoffs with that W, but taking the loss, they have to win all of their South games out to get into the postseason. And they've got a tough game next week on the road against the Lancaster Christian Academy Knights. But as for Riverside, they only have one more South game left on the year, and that comes in Week 9. But next week, they travel up to Mount Juliet to face off against the Tennessee Heat. And the other game we had the pleasure of calling on Saturday, which we've got a special guest in studio to help break that down. The final score, 41-22. The Classical School Knights got the victory at home against the Tennessee Heat, and just an amazing victory for the Knights, their second win of the year. And we're pleased to have in studio Coach Matthew Herrera, the head coach for the Classical School Knights. You're our first in-studio guest for this year. It's a pleasure to have you,
First time on the show, too? Well, no, we had the EZL coach.
We had the EZL coach. That's right.
But his first time in the studio.
First time. Thank you for being on the show. We appreciate it. Of course. So kind of break it down a little bit for us when we get into classical schools play last night. Obviously, you and I talked post game, but what was the game plan going in against a tough opponent in the Tennessee Heat?
Well, the game plan initially was just to go ahead and establish the run game. Primarily,
bring him back a little bit closer.
A little bit closer. There you
go. It was to establish the run game primarily first, because we knew that if the run game was established, then everything else would follow behind it.
It bends a little bit. The arm there bends a little bit. There you go.
Oh,
there we go.
All right. We're good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So we kind of towards the beginning, that was the initial game plan towards the game, as far as our game plan towards the Tennessee Heat. And so when the game started progressing towards the beginning, it kind of got a little shaky. We kind of got out of our game plan a little bit, and which was all right. It was understandable. We had like the game day jitters a little bit, but once we settled that down, we were able to progress.
Now, third quarter, you guys went into the third quarter as 18-7, and Heat able to score. Y'all scored. Heat scored. Started the fourth quarter as 25-22. What'd you tell your guys heading into that fourth quarter? Because they obviously were not going to go away. I mean, they were good. They're going to fight. They're going to just grind. So what'd you tell your guys to go in that fourth quarter to where Ben Salstrom able to pull off a great catch first off, and then a touchdown, and then Clay Lott able to punch it in, kind of put the icing on the cake?
Well, what I told him was how much do you want it? How bad do you want it, guys? That's the first thing, because at the end of the day, I told them that they weren't going to go away, and that they wanted this game to pull it off and win, to leave this game a winner more than they did at that time. So in order to prove to me at that time that they wanted it, they had to give me 110% of their effort.
So Samuel Hubbard, quarterback. Great first game against Bowling Green. Great comeback win for y'all. Last couple weeks he struggled. How do you kind of approach that and help him go into a game like last night, which was a very winnable game? Before, if you look at it on paper, what do you kind of tell him to get him in a mindset to where he has to just shake off what's happened before and focus on that game right there?
I always preach to him next game, next play. All right. So the thing is about the next play is I don't want him to get too much in his head as far as what just happened or just transpired, because negatives happen in football. That's just a part of it. Things happen that you can't calculate. All right. So, but what makes a great player is how he responds after that, and what he can produce by producing in that crunch time, clutch situation, is what makes you a better and greater player. So, by instilling that into him, it lets me have confidence in him.
Right. Now, folks at Classical might have known about you. For me, you kind of came out of nowhere. It's like, oh, who's this guy? So give a little bit of your background. I heard you played at Texas A&M. So give you a little bit of your background and how you ended up getting to the coaching spot. What kind of led up to it?
All right, yeah. So, I played at A&M from 2014 to 15.
Where'd you play your high school ball?
Salina, Texas.
Okay.
And it's, for the Salina Bobcats. So we pretty big organization.
Oh yeah.
And Texas football, we right now are tied for the most Texas state championships. But great organization. I love it. Matter of fact, most of my morals come from my coaching staff that was there for my high school career. But yeah, leading up to that, going into A&M, I actually took a little bit of somewhat of a longer road. Went to Blinn Community College, then got into A&M from the 14-15 season. I got my associate's degree after my mom got stage 5 kidney disease. Finished off with my associates and moved to Indianapolis, which then 4 years later transpires back to here. My nephew was playing soccer for FCS. They were telling me that they were in need of an assistant coach at the time, but then the head coach stepped down and asked if I wanted to take the spot, and I stepped up and told him I would be more than happy to take it.
Have you kind of always wanted to get in coaching, or was it like you kind of wanted to ease in, and now it's, you're the head coach of a program now?
Well, I've coached before. I've been a head coach, but it was more of like Pee-wee, little leagues, kids to like 12, 11 or something like that. But for the most part, I was initially just thinking, all right, I'm going to go ahead and ease in to the older players and see how it is. But for the most part, I know I got a good idea of how already it is because I've already been around it and been into it. I just wanted to see how their way was and how I could improve on it.
Okay. So come from a college background, got to play college ball, playing big time ball in Texas. I don't think they have 8-man. I know they have 6-man in Texas. I don't know if they have 8-man.
Yeah, they got a couple 8-mans.
They do. Okay. So did you know anything about it, or when you got here it was kind of like a?
The only thing I really pretty much knew about 8-man was pretty much like 7-on-7, but tackling.
Right.
So
that's good. That's
and then
pretty accurate way of looking at it.
And the center can't go out for a route.
Right.
That's the only really things about it.
Right.
So. Other than that, you still got a game plan, just like 11-man, 6-man, any man you got to do. You got to make sure you plan for the length of the field. So.
Okay. All right.
Now, Coach, we mentioned it recapping the games and such. You've got a tough game hosting the Christian Community Colts this year, and that's one of the longer-standing rivalries in MTAC, of course, because they were some of the founding member schools. I know I asked you this on the post-game show, but with the tough opponent coming in, they just clinched the #1 seed in the playoffs. They're a tough organization with, Coach Jordan Flanders, the amazing coaching staff they have there, and still the amount of weapons they have. What's kind of the mentality for your guys going into that game against one of the best in the defending conference champions?
Well, the main thing I want them to understand is that they're not gonna let us. They're gonna actually want to score early and fast, just to dishearten us. All right. So my thing is just like not to get discouraged because we have a great talented group of young gentlemen here, and I truly believe that they can compete with anybody in our division, and we've proved in glimpses of that, even though in cases of struggling. But ultimately, I want to make sure that they understand that the importance of winning from now on in order to get to the playoffs.
Now you got a really close group of guys that are, they're good. They seem like they're good friends. They've known each other for a while. Last year they went 0-8. Coming to this year, what's the biggest thing? I'll put it two ways. Biggest thing is that you got to get them to stop thinking, maybe change the mindset a little bit, and then the biggest thing that they have to start thinking. I know you talked a little bit about next play, next up, next game.
Yeah.
So what's the biggest thing that you had to get them to stop thinking from going from that 0-8 season?
Well, I had to get them to stop thinking about the it's my fault mentality. It's on me. It's on me. We understand that you messed up. It's apparent. We've seen it. But like I said, next play. Execute the next play, and then the next play after that, and we'll forget about the play that just happened because then it becomes irrelevant. So by instilling that and preaching that to them and getting them to understand that allows them to keep on going and continue to learn.
Well, awesome. Well, good deal. Well, Coach, appreciate you coming in, and
appreciate you.
Kind of short notice, but it's good to have you in. Congrats on the big win last night.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
And good luck on the rest of the season. You got the big Battle of Franklin coming up later on this year, so
yeah.
I'm sure you've heard a little bit about it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm actually looking forward to it.
Good deal. Well, appreciate it,
you,
Coach.
Appreciate your time, man.
Thank you.
That was Coach Matthew Herrera of the Franklin Classical School Knights. So before we get into previewing the games, time to show our updated playoff picture, ladies and gentlemen, right here on the screen between the North and South. So again, as we mentioned, we have a little star there next to the Colts because they are the only team that has clinched a playoff spot. They have officially clinched the number 1 seed in the North, and they will have a first-round bye. Still the date and time to be determined on that. But Cold Nation is getting ready to host another playoff game for the make that the 3rd year in a row that they'll be hosting a playoff game. So congratulations to them on that. Right now, the Ezel Eagles still number 1 seed in the South, especially with that forfeit that helps solidify their playoff berth a lot more with their wins against Riverside, Classical, and Swanee. They're now 3-0 in the South. So it would essentially have to be forced to a coin flip potentially for them to be eliminated. So essentially, they are going to be in the playoffs, but on paper, not official just yet.
Do we have to talk about coin flips?
I'm just going by the official for the fans.
All right.
And again, the playoff seeding, according to our bracket, is based on their winning percentage of the in-division games. So that's why for the number 2 seed in the South, the Lancaster Christian Academy Knights are in, because they've only played 1 South game and they're 1-0.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason they're number 2 in the South. It was between FCA and Lancaster on that coin flip there, but because of their loss to Riverside, they got knocked out of the playoffs.
Well, I think for Lancaster, it kind of lends to the fact that they're 5-0. I think that kind of trumps, in terms of if they're 1-0, another team is 1-0, then you look at the other team might be 3-2, they're 5-0.
Right.
You got to take that into account.
Yeah, of course. But going, of course, on paper of the 2017 bylaws, since we don't have an updated 2019 bylaws, it goes by in-division record, head-to-head, then coin flip. So that's, of course, what this playoff bracket is based off of. Because otherwise, the Mountain Lions would have been
I'm going to counter this.
in
I'm going
the
to counter
playoffs.
this because we were told this last year.
We were told this, but I'm going off of what is paper officially published.
Let's go. What we've been told.
We've been told a lot of things.
Well, let's go off what we're told. It's in division, and then you have a rivalry game against an opponent from the other division, and how you do on that game. And I think there's a secondary game as well. So those 2 games factor into tiebreakers. So let's get it right.
Right now, between Lancaster and Franklin Christian, though, they do not have the only game they have would be Bowling Green and both
CCS.
There's Bowling Green and CCS.
So Lancaster beat both. FCA
is still
beat Bowling Green, but still lost to CCS.
Yeah.
So Lancaster would still hold
assuming that it is Christian Community. Is the rivalry designated rivalry game. But again, going off the 2017 bylaws, Lancaster would be the number 2 seed in the South.
But we know what they've said for the 2018.
We know what they've said. We don't know what's on paper.
I'm going to go with what they said.
Number 2 seed in the North is the South Haven Christian School Patriots, as they are right now. They are 2-1. 1-1 in the North at the moment.
Right, and then they're 2-2 overall.
Yep, 2-2 overall. With them being 1-1 in the North, they hold the tie. I believe they hold the tiebreaker at the moment. The only other team they have the better in-division record because of Bowling Green playing against CCS and Lighthouse. looking here, it might actually be a coin flip between Bowling Green and South Haven at the moment because of them both being 1-1. Let's look at 8manextreme.com.
I've already got it pulled up.
Verify that.
You can pull it up too, but I've already got it pulled up.
Everybody should pull it up.
Everybody
should have 8Man Extreme in front of them, man. Shameless
I've been there so many times. It's on my Google Chrome, when you put in the search bar and it suggests websites, it's already the number 3 website, and then the login for editing is the number 4 website. That's how many times I go there.
So
That's how often we update it, too.
Exactly.
Updated constantly.
So, actually, correction on that.
Correct yourself, Spencer.
Number 2 seed in the North, it would be a coin flip. If the season were to end today, it would be a coin flip between Bowling Green and South Haven, solely because they both lost to CCS and they both beat Lighthouse Christian School.
Unless we look at the tiebreaker from the other division, you look at FCA. FCA beat South Haven. And
then
they
Bowling
beat
Green
Bowling
last
Green.
Saturday. If that's their rivalry game, that's a big if.
That's a big if.
Because the rule isn't common opponent; it's rivalry game.
That's right. And South Haven played Tennessee School for the Deaf.
So yes,
it's not another South team.
Correction on that image. It would be South Haven and Bowling Green, a coin flip for number 2 seed in the North if the season were to end today.
It's 3-way between Bowling Green, South Haven, and the Heat.
Tennessee Heat. That's correct. It would be a 3.
And those 3 have not played yet.
So in between the number 2 and number 3 seeds in the North, it would be a 3-way coin flip as we had back in 2017 between the 2 playoff teams and the bowl. So essentially, at the moment, again, if the season were to end today, but next week is going to solidify a lot.
Thankfully, it will not.
Next week, it's going to solidify a lot of things. But Riverside Christian Academy as the number 3 seed in the South, even though they have the same in-division record as Franklin Christian Academy with 3-1, they hold the tiebreaker because of that W on Friday. So that's what we're looking at in the playoffs. Number 2 and 3 seeds in the North is a 3-way coin flip. Colts are the only one to clinch. The Eagles, Knights, and Riverside are all currently in the playoffs, but it depends on the results from the rest of the season.
Their standing depends on the results.
Yep, standing depends.
Ezel is in.
Standing depends on the results, and only 2 teams have officially been mathematically eliminated from the playoffs.
True.
So that is what we are looking at for the playoffs. One more week, and a lot more things are going to get a lot more clear after this coming week.
Yes, sir.
Especially with that South Haven Bowling Green game on the tiebreaker. The only other division game which will kind of solidify things will be Lancaster FCA. So that.
Whoa! What about Lancaster Ezel?
Obviously, that's going to.
Oh, you're talking about this week.
I'm talking about this week.
All right.
Yeah. Otherwise, I would have gone over the rest of them. But yeah, Lancaster, Franklin Christian, and Bowling Green, South Haven. Both of those games are going to help solidify the playoff picture. Maybe lock in a
couple
seed
more
for
spots.
Riverside. Depends on how it goes down. So that's our playoff picture. Well, it's already time to preview the games, James.
There weren't a lot of games this last weekend.
Not a lot of games.
Great interview with Coach Herrera. Loved getting to know him, meeting him, talking to him. Good guy. Look forward to see what he can do for Classical.
One of the many great coaches we have the pleasure of talking to around the league. Follow around your helmet schedules top to bottom, everybody. It's time for Week 7. We head into the final 5-week stretch of the regular season for MTAC and the independent teams that we cover, and it's getting closer and closer to the first 16 playoff in MTAC history.
You know what's getting closer to as well, Spencer?
The All-Star Game.
The 2019
All-Star Game.
Blank Extreme All-Star Game potentially in the works, maybe.
We're probably going to get a title sponsor.
Maybe a little something, but
we're working some things down.
Little teaser. But, hey, November 14th through 16th, Extreme All-Star Game, Fort Bluff Camp, Dayton, Tennessee. You're not going to want to miss it. If you get invited, man, you need to take that invite.
There are a lot
Accept
of
that invite.
A lot of things you do not.
Basketball lasts forever. The season, at least. It seems like it. It's one basketball game you might miss. Couple practices. Come to the All-Star Game.
Yep.
How about that picture? It was Elijah Diaz and Nick Ambrose at the CCS game.
I saw that. They were wearing the All-Star Game shirts.
Both wearing All-Star Game shirts. Got to know each other at the All-Star Game last year. You had Elijah Diaz and Josh Salstrom, who knew each other from last year. So a lot of great friendships made. at that All-Star Game. Guys get to know each other and just stay friends. I mean, guys from the first All-Star Game are still talking, still friends. So it's a great experience. Great, something that you can participate in. I ran out of breath there at the end too.
You did. You very much did. Week 7. Here we go. Bowling Green Christian Academy collides with the South Haven Christian School Patriots in Springfield. This is more than likely going to be one of those tiebreaker games, or it's more than likely South Haven wins. They're going to be locked into the playoffs essentially. If Bowling Green wins, then a playoff seeding is going to be completely broken loose. But again, taking playoffs out of the mix, Gage Holman against Andrew Crawley and Gage Holman against Emmanuel Ding, Andrew Crawley against
David Crow,
Bowling Green's quarterback. So the matchup is going to be amazing, but there has to be a winner that comes from this match. And I have a feeling the James Shannon Index will go with the second best player in the league, according to the JS.
I'm actually going with South Haven. I think South Haven will pick up the win. Again, gonna say this: pick these games 3 weeks before the season starts. I don't just because I announce them on Sunday doesn't mean that I make the picks on Sunday. They're announced on Sunday. If you go back and listen, I picked them 3 weeks before the season starts. Which, by the way, I'm 23-5. So there you go.
Again, nobody cares about your record in division. You just care about the competition you have with Jonathan.
There's a little competition, And
you're ahead by 5 games now, is it? Or is it 4 games?
No, I'm ahead by 4 games.
4 games now? Yeah. You're keeping.
I missed 2 games
close.
this last weekend, but he missed the same 2. So we're good.
You're keeping them close. So you got South Haven taking up the W. Tennessee Heat hosts the Riverside Christian Academy Knights, and after their motivational win against the FCA Falcons, it looks like it's going to be a very interesting game. And this is one of the few games the Heat plays on a Friday. So they're playing that on a Friday, hosting that at MJCA, Ed Suey Field. The Heat are trying to keep motivation going to push down the stretch, getting into the playoffs, especially with their tough game the following week against the Warriors. But with guys like Crutcher Rizell, Michael Black, and
David Black,
they still have a player we thought was going to be out for that game. They still have
what we know.
They still have Jonathan Knotts from what we know. If it's officially confirmed or not, but Jonathan Knotts is still in the game, and he's going to be needed against the Tennessee Heat.
Well, of course, with with the Heat having guys like Carter Sutton, Gabe Hager really showed up last night, brand new player to the team, but you still got Elijah Diaz, Ross Scott, Ty Whitaker. Josh Hackle's a guy who's showed up a lot over the last few weeks. So Brandon Goolsby at quarterback. So this is going to be a really, really, really good game. This could be the rivalry game, that tiebreaker game that we were told last season, the tiebreaker scenario they went to with the rivalry game. This could be one of the rivalry games. We're not sure, but it's going to be a really good one. I've got Riverside winning this one against the Heat. I think they keep the momentum going heading into a big matchup next week.
That's going to be a big.
Or I'm sorry, they're on a bye next week, but then the week after they're at Lancaster.
So you've got Riverside.
I've got Riverside.
You got Riverside. The Christian Community Colts, as we mentioned, they travel down to Franklin to collide with the Classical School Knights, one of the oldest rivalries in MTAC. Obviously, we covered a big one with the Knights of Franklin and the Tennessee Heat, but this one especially because Classical back in the day knocked them out of a few MTAC championships, or
beat them twice.
Beat them once. Beat them once in that 3-year stretch. But anytime they have played each other every year in MTAC's existence. But you got of course with that motivational second win for the Knights, they're going to put a tough game. But the question is the Dynasty going to lose this one?
Well, you want to talk about game history? Here you go, Spencer. They've played each other 10 times. That Max Preps has kept track of course, two of the oldest teams. They played each other 2005, 2004, way back. But starting in 2009, because, of course, Classical went to 11-man 2008. 2009, 10 games played. CCS actually holds the series lead 6-4. Classical has lost the last 6 games in a row after winning the first 4 in a row. So Classical has not beat CCS since 2012, and that ain't going to stop this year either. CCS,
Colts,
I've got them winning, beating Classical.
You got Colts taking the W. As we mentioned, another big game in the divisional standings going towards the playoffs. I believe with this game could potentially seal the playoff berth for the Lancaster Christian Academy Knights, even though it is only their second game in the South. The Knights host the Falcons in Smyrna. And the Falcons taking a tough shutout loss, who have never been shut out by Riverside. They shut out Riverside back in, I believe you said 2013, 2012. It was maybe 2014. It was 14. They shut them out. So Franklin Christian, they've got a tough game ahead of them, and if Daniel Holcomb can potentially lead the Falcons to an upset win, that's gonna break a whole bunch of things loose for the playoffs. But according to the James Shannon Index, it looks like Lancaster's going to keep steamrolling.
Well, FCA is definitely feeling the effects of missing John Buchanan, who I don't know if he's playing football right now. I haven't seen him on the Centennial roster, but they're definitely feeling the effects of that. Daniel Holcomb can play as well as he wants to, but with players getting knocked out 2 weeks in a row, they've got some key players.
I definitely cough buttons.
Got some key players missing for FCA. Lancaster's rolling. I've got them rolling over FCA this week, heading into a big matchup next week, and FCA with Freedom next week.
I know you don't do score predictions, but do you think they keep their average of 50 points?
Oh,
or more?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. If you do score predictions, you predict them to score fewer than 50 points. Do you even watch the games, bro?
And the Mountain Lions are the only team on a bye week this week. Tennessee School for the Deaf, they collide with the Alabama School for the Deaf on a Thursday game. The Vikings getting their first win of the season. They're 1-1 right now. They're looking to go 2-1 against a tough Alabama School for the Deaf. I'm not sure what their mascot is.
Alabama?
Yeah.
I'm looking it up now.
Yeah, trying to see. It looks like it's an arrow on their helmet if you're looking on the helmet schedule.
Hang on. I got it.
Maybe the Warriors?
I got it. Hold on. Alabama coming from 11 man. They were in 11 man. They were in the actual Alabama.
Was it the ACS?
No, it was the AISA. I think that's where
same
they
league
came from.
Evangel is in, right? Or is it the?
They play teams from that.
That's right. There are two Alabama conferences.
Yeah, there's two Alabama conferences, and then the 11 man is the AISA.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 8-man is the CFA and the ACSC. So the AISA is the big 11-man conference in Alabama for teams that aren't your traditional, city teams. They are Alabama are the Silent Warriors. It's a good name.
That's
Warriors. Solid. I like it.
The Silent Warriors. So who do you got winning this one, James?
I think Tennessee School for the Deaf is going to pick up the win in this one. Alabama's 1-2 so far, but it has been wait, no. I've got Alabama pick to win this one. Sorry, I misread it. I've got Alabama pick to win this one. They've lost 2 tough games, but of course it was two. It was actually two 11-man teams. They're still playing 11-man, but then they're also dropping to 8-man for the Mason-Dixon Conference games, which they're going to play Indiana, Tennessee, Model Secondary, which is in Washington, D.C., Louisiana, Mississippi, and Florida. So they're playing part 11, part 8-man schedule. But I've got the Silent Warriors, still a great name, man, picking up the win against Tennessee School for the Deaf. I think the Deaf moved to 1-2.
It's going to be hopefully a W for Vikings, but we'll have to see the result of that. This week, Week 7, we are headed back to Ezel Harding in Antioch. We are broadcasting we're trying to create a rivalry here with the Battle of the Bell.
Oh, it's already made. I didn't tell you this.
Oh, boy.
So I know a guy whose kids go to Ezel from outside from work, from one of our distributors. So I was talking to him about it. He said, oh, yeah, they're already selling T-shirts for it. It's got a big bell on the T-shirt. He said that they're already playing this up on the Ezel side of things.
So the Eagles are already playing.
They're already hyping this up. Big shout out to Big Joe Dubin checking out a practice last week, but they're already hyping this up. So this is a big deal, and I love it. I love every time we can get a rivalry in there just to spice things up just a little bit more. It's an interdivisional rivalry, so it doesn't have any impact on the playoffs. It's just a good old-fashioned, we're 10 minutes down the road from you, 5 minutes down the road. Let's go.
And it's an interdivisional
It's the Lions
matchup.
and the Eagles.
Lions and the Eagles. Don't see that matchup often in the NFL, but in the 8-man football, we may see that every year for years to come. Who cares? You have a fantasy league for the NFL.
Especially
what do you mean, who cares?
if teams keep coming to 8-man, like I think here. Okay, I'm going to make a wild prediction. Now, I've made this prediction part ways.
How many times have you done that?
I made this. Well, I was right last year. Who did I say was coming to 8-man football last year?
You said Ezel.
Ezel. I am saying that Zion Christian out of Columbia is going to come to 8-man football next year. They've struggled so far this season, and I'll pull up the schedule just to prove to you. But they've struggled in 8-man football this season. Here's what I think will happen. I think Zion goes to the South. Now I don't know if Sacred Heart's going to come back or not next year, struggling to get their program up and running. But I think Zion moves to the South, and I think it makes sense to move Ezel to the North, with them being right there with Lighthouse, 5 minutes. Just because Ezel's on one side of the road and Lighthouse is on the other, that doesn't mean you split them up. So I think they move to the North, which really boosts the North. It creates some rivalry games, rivalry games, some existing rivalry games.
James, did you forget that we're doing game predictions?
We already did the game predictions, and now I'm giving a season prediction.
So you got Ezel winning against Lighthouse.
I've got Ezel winning against Lighthouse. I didn't realize we had to pick that game. Yes, I've got Ezel beating Lighthouse. I got a lot going on. That's why I had to check out my guy, Joe Graves. I hate buying insurance. I got so much going on. I had to check him out. Okay, well, Ezel is 3-1, but they've got Zion 3-1, but they got 20 guys on the roster. How can you not come to 8-man football with 20 guys on your roster? Why are we watching a ball game in a stadium that has a baseball field in the middle of it? That's what I'm asking you, Spence.
Well, we're watching Red Zone, and it's cutting in between back to the Raiders Stadium. That's our last time there at the Oakland Memorial
Thank
Coliseum.
the Lord.
That's their last time, yeah.
It's the last time they're playing there with the baseball field being there, because the baseball season is over by the next time the Raiders play a home game. So the baseball part, the infield will be gone.
It'll be gone. You'll still see remnants of it.
Well, yeah, but it won't be the actual infield.
But they're not playing there anymore after the season.
Okay, so Zion Christian, let me say this.
Gosh.
They beat Grace Christian, who's also struggling. They lost to Fayetteville High School down in Fayetteville. No, duh. They beat the Memphis Nighthawks. Yeah, my computer's talking. They beat the Memphis Nighthawks, who are still that independent 11-man team out of homeschool team out of Memphis, and then they beat Sale Creek High School. I've never even heard. I don't even know where Sale Creek is. So it's not going super well for them. They're beating some bad teams. So when they get to once they get to the actual meat of their schedule, they might lose. Speaking of Grace is 0-4. With 33 guys on the roster. So, Grace.
I don't think they're ever going to come back to
Hey, shout out, Grace. I know you got Rusty Smith as your head coach.
I don't think they're ever coming back to 8-man football.
They need to look at it.
I'm sure they've looked at it.
They need to look at it. I'm just saying. They need to look at it.
If they do, it'd be interesting. But
it'd be very interesting. You'd bring back the three-way Battle of Franklin. They lost to Zion, Clarksville 40-0, Kings Academy 48-7, and Cornersville 50-13. Come on. One more team. We got to see how Webb's doing. I want to see how Webb's doing.
They're not going to come back next year. Their minimum is for 2 years.
Well, yeah, but I want to keep up.
I know you do, but we don't have to talk about this
represent.
on air.
Yeah, we do.
No, we don't.
Everybody wants to know. Okay, so they're 0-2. They got a game this Friday against Kings Academy, who's doing pretty good. So, 24 on the roster for the Webb School.
24 on the roster.
So they went up from 15 or 16.
So they got more, but it's the only 13 additional guys on the bench to sub in. So it's a lot of work on the 11-man guys.
If they come back in 2 years, Shamar Frey will be a senior.
Yep.
He's going, or not Shamar Frey, rather he's a senior this year.
Whoever
Quarterback. Shoot, what's the quarterback's name?
His roster. We don't have a rosters anymore. They're not doing 11-man football.
What's that guy's name? Avante Harris.
Harris.
He'll be a senior.
And maybe they'll actually put up a touchdown in the championship if they make it.
Hey, could happen.
It's a good defensive stand by Christian Community, but
they've only scored 2 touchdowns
so
far.
The Battle of the Bell is what we're going to be broadcasting for this week. The Lighthouse Christian School Lions collide with the Ezel Harding Eagles, and it's going to be an interesting game for sure.
We need a confirmation that there's a bell there. Swanee has a bell that they ring when they score. Maybe they can borrow that bell.
Transport that all the way up. I'm pretty sure it's concreted on the field.
Swanee has a bye this week, okay? There's
it's
no
still
reason
concreted.
You can't borrow that bell Take it up there.
Okay.
It's right up 24.
How do you borrow it? When it's on concrete, on its slabs and such.
Guess what? A bell has to hang by something to turn. So you take that bar out, and then you borrow the bell. And then you could call it the Battle of the Borrowed Bell. Bam. Triple B. BBB. Big ballers, bro.
The Battle of the Borrowed Bell. Big ballers, bro. James Shannon, you need
Big ballers, bro, has nothing to do with it.
You need to.
I've got a Red Bull in me, okay?
You are sitting down right now. You need to stand up, take that headset off, and walk out.
I have to talk
you
about my favorite pizza place.
Eventually, yeah. I can handle that without you. I can handle those sponsors
It's
without
not
you.
believable from you, Spencer. I'm the one with the dad gut.
The only reason this is radio. They can't see that dad gut.
Y'all want me to get on a scrim show you my dad
No.
gut? Y'all have seen my dad gut.
No one does. Sheesh. All right, Battle of the Bell. We're broadcasting it this week, and then no Saturday games this week. Only a Thursday game with the Tennessee School for the Deaf. So
Saturday off this week. Oof.
No double headers. So that's going to wrap it up for this week's episode of Extreme Radio presented by GracePointe Healthcare. Go to GracePointeHealthcare.com. Request your appointment online and mention you are with 8-Man Extreme. You get $20 off your new patient office visit fee. GracePointe Healthcare, modern medicine the old-fashioned way. We're also sponsored by Dr. Sterling Foster. Go to drsterlingfoster.com for all your digestive issues and chiropractic needs.
You're going to have digestive issues potentially if you eat too much Jets Pizza, so keep it down to a minimum. It's hard. That Jets Pizza's good.
It's good.
That's good. And
your kid endorsed it a few weeks back.
Yeah, he did. He still does.
And the cinnamon sticks.
Listen, if you're specifically in Springfield, Fort Campbell, Clarksville, if you travel around for work, I travel around for work. I'm always looking for a Jets Pizza. Not that
you're always looking.
I'm always looking. They do have a good lunch deal. I go with their lunch deal.
We didn't see one down in Alabama.
I didn't see one in Alabama. That's the only complaint I have about Alabama. No Jets Pizza.
At least
I didn't see one.
There might be one in Birmingham.
Maybe.
But not near the city.
Guess what? There's going to be one in Goodlettsville coming up.
Goodlettsville.
North of town. There's going to be another
north
one.
of your town.
But no matter where you are, it's always a great time to say, let's get Jets. And I mentioned it earlier. I'm super busy. I got the hookup for, hey, listen, we're all super busy. It's school year. You got to get that, school done. If you're working like I am, and I'm working like a chicken with his head cut off, running around. You don't have time. Go check out my guy, Joe Graves, IHateBuyingInsurance.com. Just give him a chance. That's all I'm saying. It's an easy website to remember. It's almost as easy of a website to remember as 8manextreme.com, where you need to be going and checking out the scores, the standings, the rosters. Go get your 8=11 shirt. We're running a $20 special right now. By the way, we will have shirts there Friday night for the Lighthouse Ezel game. So if you want to get yourself an 8=11 shirt, couple shirts we sold Friday night down in Riverside. People repping the brand. So that's cool. But we'll have those shirts with us, but you can always order them offline. A secure website. We went into all the links. So if you put in your credit card info to order a shirt, super secure, locked in, no issues with that at all. I mean, we went all out. Our guy, J.D. Young, took care of it. We're still working on getting him in the studio, but he's behind the scenes making a lot of stuff happen. So huge shout out to him.
Huge shout out to him for sure.
Huge.
Well, huge. The Eagles are hosting the Lions in the Battle of the Bell. We'll be there for every moment of it on Friday night live at 6:45. On behalf of James Shannon, J.D. Young, all the hardworking men and women that make 8-Man Extreme what it is today, we'll see you for the Battle of the Bell on Friday.
See ya!